Hello and welcome to The Red Menace. We're a comedy news podcast. We bring you I don't fucking know what we bring. We bring you stories from places. My name's Chris Bolson. Deal with it.
And I'm Alison Hoare. And I think the stories we bring are very, very hot.
They're very hot, both physically and emotionally. I'm sorry for how confrontational my intro was.
It was very confrontational. I'm quite taken aback already this episode,
I just feel so attacked, Not by anything
by the heat?
By the heat and just, by society, man.
Yeah, right.
On that note, today we're celebrating New Zealand Day and nothing else. So I'm going to be bringing all my stories are going to be stories from New Zealand.
Well, I didn't get the memo that today was New Zealand Day, so all my stories are from Australia, which isn't celebrating anything special today. So
no, there's nothing special happening in Australia today.
Yeah, I just, doing the usual old stories from Australia, because I didn't get the memo it was New Zealand Day, so...
well, how about we get one of those nasty boys out of the way first?
I've got a good nasty boy to go straight away today.
Can we please start referring to stories exclusively as nasty boys?
No more yarns. Yarns is over. Nasty boys is where it is. So I've got a series of stories, actually, from the Gold Coast Bulletin.
Ooh.
Which is a newspaper from the Gold Coast.
That makes sense.
And I wish this was a more visual medium, because there are some great illustrations that accompany this story.
One day, when we have more than 40 listeners, you and I, we're going to live stream a recording, and we're going to get so excited about the possibility for pictures. And,
oh, yeah.
And then it'll be uploaded to the podcast feed, and people will be like, this is the worst episode. We can't get any of the jokes, because they're all based on pictures.
The really sad thing is, okay, well, I guess I need to get into the story to go to this, but there's two stories that kind of go together. There's one that kind of kicked off the other story, because it's more people coming forward with information about this phenomenon.
I love when stories join together like that, like Marvel movies. It's a fun...
It's a cinematic universe.
A cinematic universe called reality, and I'm very into it.
It's the GCBCU, the Gold Coast Bulletin Cinematic Universe. GCBCU. So I'm bringing you the first story from the GCBCU, and it brings my favourite element of cryptozoology into my least favourite country of Australia. So here we go. The headline goes, "I almost hit hinterland yowie," truckie claims.
Oh.
Yeah, we don't get enough yowie stories, do we?
No, and given how many yowies are in this country, you'd really think that there'd be more yowie stories.
There's at least one yowie.
There's at least one yowie, and I mean, I know it's a big country, but you think people would see it more often.
Yeah, exactly.
It probably just kills everyone who sees it. That might be it.
Well, maybe. Because judging by this illustration, he is a big boy, the yowie.
Okay, interesting.
Now, I just really want to get into talking about this story, because I really want to describe to you what the illustration that accompanies this is. So I'm going to start by reading the beginning of the story, so you kind of get the picture, and then I'm going to explain to you this picture, because I really think you need to hear about it.
Okay.
So the story goes... A cryptozoologist is on the hunt for the elusive yowie in the Gold Coast hinterland after a truckie claims the Bigfoot thumped his bonnet before Christmas.
That sounds like a euphemism.
Yeah, I know. But wait, there's more.
Yep.
So this truckie got his bonnet thumped by this yowie. Anyway.
Yeah, he did.
He sure did. The unnamed truckie claims he was travelling in his 9-ton empty tipper on Beachmont Road on November 13 when he encountered the Australian Bigfoot. Just after 10 a.m, he says he rounded a bend near the Kokoda Army Barracks and saw what he believed to be a rock fall out of the corner of his eye.
Okay.
He tried to avoid the rock by slamming on the brakes and came to a skidding halt. He said a massive mass stood up and hit the truck with his palm.
Massive mass.
A massive mass. Oh. When it stepped out, it seemed shocked and embarrassed it had been seen, the witness said in a recorded interview with cryptozoologist and yowie hunter Dean Harrison.
Oh, just imagine this massive mass, sheepishly covering its face.
He's blushing.
Oh no, you have seen me.
Oh, you saw me.
Oh no, you have seen what they look like. Oh no.
Basically, so it said it was a 9-ton truck, but it felt like a small car, the truckie said. The animal was described as being more than 6 foot tall, covered in muscle and hair. It had brown eyes.
Damn.
Oh yeah. Damn. Now...
There's a lot of things in here that are making me think that maybe the story's leaving out some important details of what happened between this man and this
yeah.
sensual
Now,
yowie.
can I describe the picture to you? Because it might, like, play into that narrative more.
Oh, yes, please.
Now, the picture is kind of like baby's first 3D drawing of a truck. You know when you first learn about how to draw 3D?
Yeah.
That's kind of what the truck looks like. The yowie is not three-dimensional so much, but he is drawn with, like, his bum facing the front. And they have gone to the... They haven't drawn a lot of detail on this yowie.
Is it like turning its head to look over its shoulder, like the movie poster pose?
I'm sure if this person was a better drawer, I'm sure he would be. But he's basically, like, one arm leaning on the truck, like the arm that's kind of closest to the camera in this case, and then his bum is facing the camera and his head is facing the other direction, because I guess they can't really draw a yowie face.
Is it like a detailed bum?
They have drawn the crack, Chris.
Oh.
There's not a lot of detail in this picture, but one detail they are sure not to miss is the curvature of the yowie's bum crack.
People don't talk about the yowie's butt crack enough, because in most media it's always covered up by hair, and it's like, yeah, the yowie is a big hairy being, but like the yowie is also like very muscular and
he
just rippling sensual muscles,
and he had brown eyes,
deep
beautiful brown eyes.
It's like peering into the stars.
I like how they've drawn like an illustration to show what 6 foot looks like as well, which is from the bottom of the truck to the ground.
Not that tall is the thing. Like that's kind of like that's tall, but like that's only slightly taller than me.
No, the yowie is like 9 foot, Chris. He's a very tall boy.
Okay, now we're talking. Okay. Yep. Okay. Like we joke and jive. But if I did in the wilderness come across a 9 foot tall, extremely muscular man who was like, I'm assuming of human level intelligence, because that's obviously a prerequisite, was like into me, I'd be like, look, I'd think about it. I'd be like, look, everything once.
You can't knock it until you try it, I suppose.
I saw Shape of Water. I know that these things are cool now.
Now, this isn't the only illustration that accompanies this story. Fortunately, there's another illustration of this big boy's face, which is... it's very nostril heavy. Okay. They're... You know, it's like baby's first anatomical face drawing as well.
It's a lot of baby's first in this. It's also baby's first, like, yowie experience.
When you first learn how to when you first are trying to learn how to draw anatomically correct human faces, and it's just, like, weirdly liney.
Yeah, no, I get you.
There's a lot of lines.
Just
that's what
just
this
like real
like.
humans' faces. A lot of lines.
Now, this boy has very intense eyes.
Oh,
very
of course he does. Though think about it. He's been chased out of society. He's got so many deep feelings and these wells of emotion and longing. Just imagine
and lust.
Lust.
That's his main emotion.
Looking into those eyes in the wilderness. My God.
No, this is my favorite part, because this is when the truckie is quoting. You know, this is the quote from the trucker. He said, underneath the hair, you could see pecs and abs and all sorts of stuff. I was left shocked.
This is the horniest article I've ever heard. My God.
These people are very, very attracted to this Bigfoot. They're very into him.
Why have I never thought of Yowie as a sexual being before? This is like... And I know there's going to be a bunch of gnarly, cheapy romance novels out there about this specific thing.
Are. There absolutely are. There's a whole genre of, like, erotica, yaoi erotica.
Yeah. No, I can't think of a portmanteau for it. But, like, just,
the erotica.
And I want it to be this, like, kind of Brokeback Mountain-y cowboy romance kind of thing. Like, I want that wilderness aspect to it.
Yeah. For sure.
I want a trucker yowie sensual story. And I want it to win the Best Picture Academy Award.
And they know they can't have each other. They know they can't have each other because one's a yowie and one's a truck driving human.
Because one's a truck driving human and one's a 9 foot tall yowie with rippling pecs and abs.
Very, very. Anyway.
The yowie doesn't have very muscular legs, though, unfortunately.
He skips leg day quite a bit. He's just there, like, working out his pecs all the time. So it says, the truckie drew a description of the Bigfoot for Mr. Harrison, who has worked for close to 2 decades to prove the mythical beast exists. It was the sighting of the year, Mr. Harrison said. Sightings of the monster are not unheard of in the region and peaked in 1977 and 1978. Now, I don't know about you, but all I know about the 70s is that a lot of drugs happened in the 70s.
Yeah, I know.
So it's kind of unsurprising to hear that sightings of the mythical beast peaked in the 70s.
I just feel that maybe there was a lot of sightings of, like, hairy bodybuilders, and that's what that was.
Perhaps back in the 70s, being a bodybuilder wasn't as socially acceptable, so
you had to do
bodybuilders
it
took
in
up
the woods.
fort in the wilderness.
If you're, like, on a bunch of drugs and you just come across, like, 5 bodybuilders in the woods, like, lifting logs above their heads, and you're, like, you've just done so much LSD, like, you don't know how to process that situation. So I very much get how you come to this conclusion. I can't
So
judge
anyway, not everyone is believing this yowie sightings. It says, Mr. Harrison said doubters of his theory were of no consequence. So doubters of the yowie, they don't matter.
Fuck these haters.
Fuck the haters and their hating personalities.
I saw and definitely did not have intimate relations with a yowie. Fuck you, haters.
Why? Just because you're jealous? You're jealous that I fucked the yowie, okay?
You're jealous that
Come on.
I got to be with. It was not. I didn't fuck the yowie. It was a romantic, soulful connection. There was real intimacy like I've never felt before in my life.
God.
And my whole perspective on romance and relationships has been changed by this 9 foot tall ab man.
So he said, people chose not to believe it, but skeptics are of no consequence to me. We believed based on the facts we are presented with. People should be vigilant and be aware that these things do exist. They blend in, but look out for dark patches that don't look quite right. Gary Nutley, who has managed a campground in the area for close to a decade, scoffed at the claims. What are they smoking? There is wild dogs about. That is about it, he said.
Well, he's obviously hiding something. I have never
seen anything like that. Gary Nutley's having an affair with the yowie, and he does not want his partner to know.
Okay, that's my favourite idea, is that the yowie is a real fuckboy. The yowie gets around.
Is. Gary Nutley doesn't want his partner to know that he is having an affair with the yowie, so he pretends that the yowie doesn't exist.
Okay, but his partner is also having an affair with the yowie.
And his partner is also a known yowie skeptic. The biggest yowie skeptics in the yowie community. And they're both like, yeah, yowies definitely don't exist.
Yowies?
And if it did exist, I wouldn't have intimate relations with it.
Okay, real question. This is super important. Do we think the yowie is top or bottom? Like...
I don't know.
I feel like, because my immediate thought is like yowie would be top, but if yowie was bottom, that's just like a big pillowy bed of a person. Like, you could just like rest, you could just sleep on the yowie afterwards.
I'll leave you to that while we go to the other story, which is related to the yowie. And this is the second story, and it's also from the Gold Coast Bulletin Cinematic Universe, the GBCU.
Okay.
And of course, after you make sightings like this public, more sightings will, of course, come out.
Okay.
And it says, more Gold Coast yowie spotters come forward.
Interesting.
It says, more alleged yowie sightings have emerged since a Gold Coast Bulletin exclusive detailed an encounter between a truck driver and the mythical beast. I like the phrasing of an encounter.
Yeah, again, like, it's very romantic.
Now, the disappointing thing about this particular story is that they have used the same witness sketched, but they've cropped out the yowie's butt.
That is censorship, and that
is censorship.
Frankly,
absolutely,
it's homophobic, and
it's
I will
disgusting.
not abide by it.
Yeah, that's basically what they've done. They've cropped out his bum. They've left the rest of the yowie in, and they've left the baby's first 3D model truck in the picture.
So they've taken out the good bits.
They've taken out the best bit. The only part that had any, like, detail put into it. You know, they've removed that from the picture.
Oh, God.
And so this is more people talking about their sightings and their encounters with the yowie. So we go down here. It says Mr. McKinnon, this is another person, Andy McKinnon, he decided to share his story with the yowie. It said, Mr. McKinnon, a scaffolder by trade, believes large scratches he found on the side of a tree last June could have been made by the animal, whose existence is yet to be proven. I was mountain biking through the forest.
Sometimes people scratch things during lovemaking.
Oh, no.
Sometimes trees get a bit messy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Look. So he saw this big claw mark in a tree, and he said, I saw the stories about the yowie, and I believe this could be connected. I don't necessarily believe in them, but I think there could be things out there until I am proven otherwise. It's not like I believe in unicorns or something.
That's basically inviting the yowie. It's like, hey yowie, if you read this, just pay me a visit, okay?
I really want you to prove that you exist. Like, prove that you exist intimately.
I just want to see how dedicated you are to existing. I just want to feel how much you exist, if you know what I mean.
But, now here's the disappointing part about Andy's encounter, is that the yowie hunter does not believe this marking could have been done by a yowie. He said, while researching... Yowie hunter Dean Harrison, who has seen the photos of the marks, has doubts they were made by the southern Sasquatch.
So I'm just going to take a double step back here and be like, Yowie hunter, I like that they've used that as a super casual, just like job title.
Oh yeah, Dean Harrison, Yowie hunter. While researching in the Blue Mountains, I found extreme and what I thought to be bizarre tree damage far beyond the capabilities of any native Australian animal, Mr. Harrison told the Bulletin. This damage was ripped not only through thick bark, but also through the hardened wood inside. No fingers or teeth could accomplish this. However, Mr. Harrison, who runs the Australian Yowie Hunters, has since seen cockatoos make similar markings.
What a dipshit! Oh my God, that's brilliant. What a delight.
Oh no.
Look, if a cockatoo can do it, then a yowie in the throes of passion can definitely do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I've got an idea for a new Twitter profile, which is I'm going to start someone who just alludes to having intimate experiences with, like, various supernatural beings.
Cryptozoological creatures.
So it'll be like, I can guarantee from experience that vampires breathe very heavily and always have ripped bodies, and I can't tell you how I know that.
Now, here's a question for you. Do you think Mothman, the man who is also a moth, do you think he'd be the kind of person that would, like, stick around in the morning to, like, share breakfast, or do you think he'd, like, buzz off as soon as, like, daylight came?
I feel like Mothman's a more intellectual cryptozoologist, because Mothman's whole thing was he wanted to help people by warning people about bridge problems or something.
Yes.
And so I feel like Mothman's like a good guy. Like, I feel like Mothman's the guy you do want to have breakfast with on Sunday.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the vampire's the guy, like, you want to see Saturday night and you don't want to see him again after that.
You wake up and you hope he's not there in the morning.
Yowie's your Saturday night kind of guy. Mothman's your Sunday morning kind of guy.
Mothman will get up early and prepare you breakfast and bring you breakfast in bed.
It won't be edible by humans, is the problem.
No.
But he means well, and you can see that.
Yeah.
And
it's the thought that that counts. But
What
here's
more
the
can
problem.
you ask for, really?
You know, like moths like to eat your clothes.
Yeah, no,
To eat your fabric.
That's
he'll
what
bring you like a pile of like clothes from your own wardrobe, and he'll just like pile it onto like a nice tray with a little vase of a flower there and like a cup of coffee, and it's like breakfast served.
And like he's a sweet guy, but sometimes he can't help himself, and he has taken a little bit of a nibble out of some of those t-shirts, unfortunately.
Yeah, before he serves them to you. It's a little bit selfish, but...
It's funny, normally when you have like a guy over, you're like, let's get out the lingerie, but don't do that when Mothman's around. Hide that shit.
Hide anything that's good, that you don't want to be eaten.
Anything with lace, put it away. Mothman will get it.
Basically. So, yeah, the second sighting, the markings, may or may not have been cockatoos or the yowie. There's a couple of options there.
Christ.
And that's about all there is to this story. Full disclosure, this story was from 2017, but it was on the front page of the Gold Coast Bulletin this morning when I had a look. So clearly they want to bring this one back.
What is this world we're living in?
This is a good story that they wanted to bring back to the forefront of our minds. So that's why I was kind of, found that fun, was that the fact that the story was, back at the front.
So, in celebration of New Zealand Day, all my stories today are from New Zealand. So this first one is from stuff.co.nz. It's written by Rob Stock, which sounds like
another stuff article.
Yeah, sounds like a made-up name, Rob Stock.
It does a little bit.
So, there's not that much to this story, but the core concept is wonderful, and it's sort of spelled out in the headline, which is, It's legal to insult an employer in wage negotiations. The Employment Court has given unions the go-ahead to insult employers during wage negotiations. Workers' representatives were also within their rights to use giant inflatable rats as part of their protests without fearing they were breaching good faith while bargaining.
I'm sorry? That's very specific.
It is.
But you can't use inflatable snakes or dolphins, just rats.
No, there's been several giant inflatable rats used to make fun of employers whilst they're trying to get more money from the employers. And as someone who's on the lefter wing of the political spectrum, I fully support this and think it's delightful.
Yeah. It seems harmless enough.
It does. But I just like this. There's actually not that much to this story. It's more just this core concept of there was a wage negotiation and the employers used this giant inflatable rat that said, "Don't be a rat, Mr. Foster."
Oh, that's good.
So there's lots of people...
I like that.
Lots of people holding, like, serious signs being like, stop bullying, no more pack and slave, as opposed to pack and save, which is the employer.
Well, that's a fun bit. I like that.
And then there is a rat that is literally 6 times the height of any of the people.
That's really creepy.
Right?
Oh, dear.
But I just want to know, like, how far you can take this. Like,
sure.
If it's illegal to insult your employer whilst in union negotiations, like, because you see people on Twitter being like, my workplace is unionizing, please support us. Like, I think it'd be better if they were like, my workplace is unionizing, please tell my boss to go suck a dick. Like...
A lot of people would do that. There are a lot of people on Twitter who would be very happy to tell people to go suck a dick.
That's true. I think maybe using Twitter as the media... I don't think you can incite insulting. I think you have to do it personally, because I think that's... Like, otherwise you're getting, like, a hate mob to come for someone, which I don't think is awesome in most situations, but...
But... Pack and slave?
Pack and slave. The rats, obviously.
I don't know the circumstances of this particular situation, but generally, I don't think very fondly of scumbag employers.
No.
Overall, as a general group.
Can you just... No, I wholeheartedly... Can you just imagine you're in the negotiation with the scumbag employer? You've got your lawyer there, your union representatives there.
Yeah, of course. You've got all of the important people that you need to have present.
You've talked it out, and John, the owner of Pack and Save, is sitting at the table he's like really grumbling. He's like, fine, I'll pay $2 more than minimum wage now, which is a real step up for you guys. Well, I'm going to go to my yacht.
You guys should be grateful for my kindness because I am doing my legal obligation.
Like, how much better would those negotiations go if you are then allowed to tell John that he, like, smells like farts and he's a piece of shit? And John's not allowed to say that back to you, is the thing.
No, because you're the employee, and that's workplace bullying.
John has to take it. In this...
Yeah.
What if people started wage negotiations, not because they needed higher wages, but just because they really wanted to tell their boss to go fuck themselves?
They had a lot to unpack. A lot of really annoying shifts with really annoying co-workers, with the boss breathing down your neck. And there was a lot to unpack, for sure.
Can you just, you go into John's office and you're like, John, everyone here only gets paid minimum wage. This is not okay.
This is not ideal, no.
John's like, well, unfortunately, that's all I can afford. And you'd be like, John, officially, I'm starting wage negotiations. Everyone can see your pit stains and they hate you. Like, you can start from the word go. You can tell him how much he's a shithead.
Right from the very beginning. I'm sure a lot of workers would find that a very therapeutic experience.
Yeah, exactly. What if we took
My current boss is lovely, but I've had a boss in the past when I worked at a certain juice bar, which starts with B and ends in OOST. At a certain juice bar, my boss, there were two of them. One of them was a fairly decent, alright person, and the other one was a real scumbag who liked to give everyone shoulder rubs while you were trying to serve customers, and undo your aprons while you were trying to serve customers, and a lot of other skeezy things. It would have been very therapeutic to be in a wage meeting where I could have been openly able to say, stop being an absolute skis.
So if you were legally, not even legally allowed, legally encouraged to say these things to this gentleman, what would you say? What kind of things would you...
Well, firstly, I'd start by telling him he is intensely uncool, which is... Which I feel like for an almost 40-year-old man trying to be hip with the young folk, I think that's the biggest insult you could make.
That would be crushing.
That would be crushing.
You'd be like, John, you're very old and you need to accept that. You are not cool. Yeah. Every time you try and use slang, it makes everybody feel embarrassed for you.
Every time you say, the store's looking very Mickey Mouse, folks, every time you say that, everyone cringes. It means it's very nice and clean. Who says that?
Is Mickey Mouse famously clean? I
don't know.
Is there lots of, Mickey Mouse bathing scenes? I've never watched Mickey Mouse.
Frankly, the most I know about Mickey Mouse is from, his existence, first of all, and secondly from Kingdom Hearts. And I can confirm there are no bathing scenes with Mickey Mouse in Kingdom Hearts.
Look, now we're getting back into that, sexy yowie territory, and I feel like we've done enough of that for one episode.
We don't need any more of that, no.
God, I don't know what I would say to, a boss, but I do like... What if we took it further, and instead of just saying mean things to them, it was during wage negotiations, at the end of every session, there will be a 10-minute allocated egging sort of time.
I'd rather do a nice TP.
Okay.
You get 10 minutes to go TP their house, and then...
Then 10 minutes to egg the human being in the face and clothes. And I just feel like it would really help. I know we talk a lot about society's inequalities and the ways to fix it is to redistribute money. But I think...
No, it's TPing people's houses.
I think we need to TP rich people's houses, and I think that will help a lot.
Because then also, they'd have to employ more people to remove the toilet paper from their house, because they're not going to do that themselves.
We are job creators.
We're creating jobs and growth. Send this straight up to the top.
Do you have another story?
Yeah, I've got a story that you probably already encountered this story. And our audience may have encountered this story, because it is everything we stand for.
Okay.
I've chosen to take this story particularly from the BBC's rendition of this because, it's fun to, get an outside perspective on what's happening in our country.
Okay.
So the headline basically says what happens in the story, and it says, Australian woman bitten by snake in toilet.
Wait, what? I haven't heard this.
You haven't heard this story?
No, but now I'm so very excited.
Oh, yeah. It is exactly as it sounds.
Because, okay, but there's a few different permutations it could be. Like,
right.
if I may be permitted to spitball, there's like, there's the option of like, is in public toilet, snake on floor. Okay. Second option that I hope is the true one is that it's inside the bowl of the toilet. And
the snake is inside the bowl of the toilet.
It's just right up her, and that's real nasty for her, and I'm sorry for her, but it's also quite funny.
I really love snakes as a creature, and I just don't like the concept of a snake being in toilet water.
It does seem mean.
Yeah, I don't... Like, I mean, as much as I don't want a snake to bite me while I'm sitting down on the toilet and you're in that vulnerable state, I also don't want to accidentally piss on a snake. I feel like that would be really not great for the snake's health.
If a snake bites you in the butthole or the nethers, after you've just pissed on it, I think that's fair. Like, I think that's...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think if you did not check your toilet for snakes before you started pissing in it, that one's on you. Like... I don't want to get snake bite on the wiener as much as the next person, but look, I'll accept it if it's something that I'm responsible for.
For sure. So it says an Australian woman jumped off her seat after being bitten by a snake on the toilet, a reptile handler says. Helen Richards, 59, received the non-venomous strike in the dark at a relative's house in Brisbane on Tuesday.
Oh, she's never visiting that relative ever again.
Yeah, no way. She received minor puncture wounds from the 1.5-metre carpet python. It's a big boy snake in the toilet.
That's a pretty chunky boy to fit in the snake. Wait.
To fit in the toilet.
Christ, it's too early.
It's not a big by snake standards.
No.
It's pretty small.
But it's big,
hefty for toilet standards.
It's big by toilet snake standards.
So it says, handler Jasmine Zellini, who retrieved the reptile, said it was common to find snakes seeking water in toilets during hot weather. That's a fun fact for our heat wave currently. Yeah, isn't that a nice one to know?
So, gents, this is why you put the seat and the lid down in summer.
For sure.
If you don't want to be bitten in the taint,
maybe this is like because the snake handler's a woman, and the person who this impacted was a woman. Perhaps this is like a conspiracy created by women to get men to put the seats down.
Beautiful.
They've set it up. This woman's husband never puts the seat down.
But you'd have to put the lid down as well.
Yeah, the lid down, true.
Now the problem is that now this woman has to convince her husband that the lid putting down is also the necessary thing. Like, it's not just... Because I think it's fair to expect that most men...
But if you put the lid down, then the seat will also go down.
Yes. But here's my thing. I think most men have little to no... Most straight Australian men have no comprehension of what a woman's bathroom experience is. So I think if you told them, like, no, I need the lid to be down, it's really important, I think they wouldn't question it too much.
They would probably be like, oh, yeah.
It's like, okay, whatever.
Probably for periods or something.
Yeah, it's just like lady stuff, you know? Who knows
like
how it works?
Girl stuff. I don't know. How does girl peeing happen? It's like that post that was going around on Twitter for a while, which was like, you know, when we're talking about the tampon tax and the removal of that, there was that post floating around that was like, I don't think that we should remove the tampon tax because ladies should just control their bladder and not bleed.
Jesus,
like,
dude.
as if... I don't think he understands the concept of a period is not a peed out experience. You know?
Counterpoint, Alison, this dude has some serious liver problems and pisses blood.
Yeah, maybe. He's got some serious health issues.
Somehow still alive, which is not...
If you know this guy, then please get in touch, tell him to see a doctor.
Yeah, you're not supposed to piss blood.
But anyway, this Ms. Richards, the woman in question whose butt was bitten, said that she jumped up with my pants down and then turned around to see what looked like a long-necked turtle receding back into the bowl.
What a wonderful immediate association to make.
I don't know what would be weirder to find in your toilet, a snake or a turtle.
I don't know what would be weirder to get bitten on the butthole by, a snake or a turtle.
Yeah, basically. It says, Mrs. Zeleny said Miss Richards, had treated the minor bite marks as with an antiseptic, describing carpet pythons as relatively harmless. Unfortunately, the snake's preferred exit point was blocked after being spooked by Helen sitting down, and it lashed out in fear, Mrs. Zeleny told the BBC. By the time I got there, she had trapped the snake and calmed down. Helen treated the whole situation like a champion.
It does sound like she kept her shit remarkably together. Which
She sure did.
I would not have. I would have literally run away screaming. So,
She got bit on the butt. She turned around. Oh, it looks like a turtle. And she trapped the snake turtle into the toilet and called the snake handler.
I would
Who
have
then
called
removed
myself
the snake turtle.
I would have assumed it was poisonous and called myself an ambulance would have been my first step.
It's a carpet python.
Yeah, but I don't know what a carpet python looks like compared to other snakes.
Although, to be fair, I may have called myself an ambulance if an animal that had been stewing in toilet water injected toilet water with its fangs into my butt. Which seems like a quite poisonous experience.
If I get bitten on the butthole by any animal, I'm calling a goddamn ambulance because I need that. I use it and I need it to not be damaged.
Yeah, look, especially something that's emerged from the toilet. I feel like that adds another layer of perhaps unhygienicness to the situation.
I need to keep my shit together for when I go see the yowie. I need to be like...
Oh, dear. But that's a fun fact if anyone's coming on holiday in Australia. Apparently, snakes love seeking out the cold toilet water on a hot summer's day.
I saw the odd... I grew up in Moree, which is like a country town. It's very hot. I saw the odd frog in the toilet back in Moree.
I saw a frog in a toilet before.
Yeah. You see them in public toilets every now and again.
It's not ideal because you want to help the frog get out of the toilet. But also that involves reaching your hand into the toilet.
Yeah, and also you're 6 and the frog scares you because you're a very brave boy.
I told this story before about like the geckos in the shower when I was in the Philippines.
Yes, I believe that was our first episode ever, actually.
I think it was. The Geckos and Pervs episode.
That's the one. Oh, nostalgia. We're already...
Nostalgia. Oh my god.
20-something episodes in and that's already what we're banking on.
But I feel like animals in the bathroom, animals with eyes in the bathroom, I don't care if it's a blind mole rat or something. It's inherently like a disturbing experience because you don't know like what that animal can perceive and understand.
That's true. Like
perhaps animals are intelligent enough to understand the idea of naked people.
But also like I don't like the idea of random person seeing my buttocks in like that level of intimate detail. Like I feel like that's it's a privilege to have that experience.
Yeah, sure.
And I just don't know if I want some random snake. I want the snake to buy me a drink first or something.
Yeah, maybe. Like maybe the snake's got to show the same level of commitment that the yowie would.
It's got to bump me on the bonnet before I'll have a think about it.
Oh god. Interesting. Do you have more stories?
Oh, I'm sure I do. Give me a sec.
I feel like I've been heavy on my stories.
We have, because your stories have been really good, and...
I mean, that yowie story was from 2 years ago, but it did pop up on the page that I was reading. Now, actually, before we move on from the snake thing, by the way, I should say that the related story is man bitten twice on penis by spider. So...
Oh, you poor fucker.
That's not an ideal experience either, I would imagine.
Sucks. And again,
Yeah.
I don't imagine he wanted that spider to see his junk. So,
No. Especially... This one's also from Australia, by the way, the penis spider
Well, I
incident.
mean, of course.
Of course it is.
Only-
Where else would it be?
What's wrong with our animals? They're just...
Don't
We have
know.
fucking dirty animals. I would like to bring back returning segment Get Out Your Pitchforks, where I read very harsh reviews from the website pitchfork.com.
Oh, please.
This one came out a couple weeks back. So this is from January 9th. This is a review of the album Sick Boy by EDM pop duo The Chainsmokers.
Okay.
Are you familiar with The Chainsmokers, Alison?
I have heard of of them.
You've heard it. They do that Closer song. That only 3 notes in the chorus. That one.
I probably know the song.
Yeah.
If I listened to it right now, I'd probably know what it was.
So, trading away the dance pop trifles of their hits for a faceless, stylistic shuffle, the duo seems to be tiring of itself too. We're going to be stuck with the Chainsmokers forever. Though the unctuous duo of Drew Taggart and Alex Paul are probably not destined for decades of unqualified success, their insipid spin on EDM's big money boom has become as much of an eye-rollingly omnipresent part of our national fabric as the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh my...
Most living humans in the Western world have likely had the unfortunate sensation of hearing a Chainsmokers song stuck in their head. As gross as gum on a hot bus seat. After all, their Coldplay collaboration, Something Just Like This, seems made to ooze from department store speakers for eternity. There's even a goddamn feature-length film based on M83 Aping Paris in development.
I'm sorry?
The Chainsmokers are making a movie.
A movie about their album? Or their song?
Paris is a song you may remember hearing the background of a bar you really wanted to leave, offers a strikingly small amount of substance.
Did you mean any bar?
Offers a strikingly small amount of substance from which to develop a feature film. Anyway, I'm going to go back to the Pitchfork review. But
Yes.
So the Chainsmokers are making a movie, which is profoundly upsetting.
That's very strange.
Like so many modern American atrocities, the Chainsmokers are just something we're going to have to endure. Less than 3 years removed from Closer, their massive collaboration with Halsey, it reasons that, though the Chainsmokers didn't kill EDMs themselves, they gave the knife an extra twist before the cops arrived.
Rude.
Their airless take on dance pop as a marketing ploy, ignominiously captured on their 2017 debut LP, Memories... Do not open.
Okay.
That's the title.
That sounds quite pretentious.
Yeah. I'm going to skip all the bits where they talk about the actual music, because...
Yeah, because I'm not interested in that. I just want to hear the roast.
No, it's like just generally pretty well thought out. I am going to cover bits of where they talk about the lyrics, because they get quite harsh.
Okay, that sounds like our kind of thing.
The title track resembles the conscious, reflective anti-rock of 21 Pilots' Trench, when Taggart pleads, "Don't believe the narcissism." He sounds like a dead ringer for lead pilot Tyler Joseph. But the lyrical comparisons end there. They say I am the sick boy. Easy to say.
The sick boy.
The sick boy. Easy to
The sick boy.
Easy to say when you don't take the risk, boy. So he's he's rhymed boy with boy, which I appreciate.
That's yeah. But also, it's a little lazy. Don't be like criticizing others' lyrics. Oh wait, that's part of the lyrics of the song?
Yeah.
Or is that the writer's criticism?
No, that's
of
the
song?
lyrics of the song.
That's pretty bad.
Taggart sneers, his sense of bitter entitlement reflecting Sick Boy as a whole. During You Owe Me, Taggart whines, "Don't you think I get lonely?" before turning an exquisitely rank phrase of blame passing. "When it gets dark inside your head, check my pulse, and if I'm dead, you owe me." Devoid of any real personal reflection, the self-pity is suffocating. I'm going to skip the rest of it and just go to the last sentence, which is like, given the self-loathing and stylistic anonymity of Sick Boy at large, it's enough to suggest that maybe the Chainsmokers are starting to get sick of themselves too. 3.1 out of 10.
Well, that's quite generous, all things considered.
Yeah, I felt like it was going to be lower, but, you know, I just love that shit.
I love the roast reviews that then go on to give it a serious score and not just like a joke 0.
Yeah, exactly. They're very
Because
fun.
if I was writing I have written reviews before, very bad ones, and the worst part of writing a review is giving like a star rating, because it's like, how can I enumerate my opinions on this? But I feel like the easy go-to, if you really want to roast something, is just giving it 1.
Yeah, I get that. My worst least favourite part of writing reviews is when your editor assigns you an album and you review it and you're like, 1 star, this is garbage music from a toilet and it made me feel very bad and sad to listen to. And then your editor reads that and sends you an email saying, Chris, we're interviewing them. You can't...
You can't say that.
Like, well, you shouldn't have given it to me then.
Give it to someone who might like this.
Do you have one more story to close us out?
Yeah, why not this one? This is from the Northwest Star, and I think I like this story because it's quite relatable to an experience that both of us are probably having almost an hour into this podcasting session.
Yeah.
And it's about, it is hot.
Yeah, no.
Basically.
Look, let me...
the crux of this article.
Let me say this. My eyes definitely have salt in them. And that's not good for me and my whole situation.
Now, in some parts, like, for, just for a little bit of context, in some parts of Australia, it has gotten to a week of almost 50-degree weather.
Yeah, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but I'll check.
I can't, you find out. If you're a Fahrenheit kid, find out what it is, because I'm not translating that. I don't know what it is.
I don't.
But I can assure you it's
Siri,
quite hot.
Convert 50 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. Apparently it's 122 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's quite a lot of degrees.
That's a high number.
Yeah, so it's a big number. And it's been like that for almost a week, but global warming does not exist, by the way.
No, of course not.
So it's a myth created by the solar panel companies to sell solar panels.
By these fucking solar cucks.
By Big Solar.
Big Solar and Big Cuck.
Yeah. Well, everyone in Big Solar are soy boy beta cucks, as we know.
Obviously.
Anyway, so it's quite hot in some parts of Australia. It's quite hot here, but not so quite hot as it is in other places.
Not as hot, but we have also locked ourselves in rooms with laptops, which generate... Turns out when you're recording audio and doing Skype call at the same time, does generate a considerable amount of heat.
So my heat is spread over 2 laptops, but it's still quite...
I feel like that might be worse, actually.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
Anyway, this story is from northwest Queensland, hence why it's in the Northwest Star. And it's quite a warm place already.
Okay.
Add in the unusual heat wave, and it is very hot.
Ugh.
So it says, well, this story is basically just talking about how hot it is and some things that people are doing because it's hot. And this is by Derek Barry. I like his name because it's 2 first names.
That is a good one.
And it says, watch how Cloncurry beats the heat on Australia Day. I don't know what Australia Day is.
No, do they mean New Zealand Day? Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. There must be New Zealand Day. Isn't it weird how Australia keeps trying to take things from New Zealand, including New Zealand's holiday, New Zealand Day on the 26th of January?
It's rude. Anyway, please continue.
So it says, well, this is the article. It says, the roads are hot in northwest Queensland, but would you cook your food on it? That's what the folks at Cloncurry Shire Council are suggesting with their cheeky Australia Day video.
Ugh.
Pointing out that Cloncurry has broken the Queensland record for most consecutive days over 40 degrees. A title Camel Wheel might fight them for. The video showed locals taking it to their stride at landmarks like the Chinaman Creek Dam and Mary Kathleen Park. These are renowned Australian landmarks.
Yep, definitely heard of all of them.
I've heard of all of these places. Our new local, Paul Kahn, donned the budgie smugglers to show the curry way to cool down. Pour a bucket of ice water over you before downing a coldie in a can. Just a quick slug, mind. It heats up too quick to finish.
That's just the ice bucket challenge, but with drinking afterwards.
It's like chugging drinks and ice bucket challenge
not
at
innovative.
the same time. No, it's very innovative. It's the most innovative thing that I think anyone's ever done. He then takes his cooking oil and food out to cook the snags and eggs on the barbie, i.e. the bitumen. 10 minutes, that'll be ready, he said, and he played backyard cricket before returning to the road to find his nice Cloncurry meat well cooked.
Jesus.
It's quite bad when you can cook food on the road.
Did he put like a saucepan on the road, or did he put the meat directly on the tar?
No, he poured some oil on the tar and then put the sausages down on the tar.
You know how you like scrape and wash a barbecue? Can you imagine doing that to like a tar road?
Especially when it's so hot that the tar is like peeling off.
You're just like scraping the tar with your spatula.
Take your sausage off and it's got like little bits of road stuck to it. Now, I feel like this reading experience, and I'm sorry for those of you who are not from Australia, because I feel like a lot of what we've just read is intensely Australian.
Yeah.
And for me, I can understand it, no worries. But
no worries,
if you're having trouble understanding that, yeah.
A dude went to a road and it was very hot and put meat on the road and it cooked it because he left it there.
Yeah, that's essentially what this story is so far.
It's not good, and it's a real step up from frying an egg on the street because it's frying like a steak on the street. And
absolutely.
The problem I worry about is that, like, I go on the street sometimes, and I feel like if I stay on the street long enough, I'm going to find out what human meat cooking smells like.
I feel like sometimes, though, when it's just a really, really sunny and really, really powerful UV day, I find that out anyway. Because have you ever, like, just been so sunburnt that you can literally feel your skin cooking?
Yes, a lot.
And then if you sniff your cooking arm, that's what cannibalism smells like.
You sniff it and you're like, ooh, interesting.
This is quite porky.
If this arm has to go, I'll Hannibal this shit up.
I will give it a taste. So it says, Bulliashire Council Director. Bulliashire Council Works Director.
It really sounds like saying bully a Shire Council worker, which is not something that should be encouraged.
Please don't bully a Shire Council worker. It said he measured the temperature after he smelled melting bitumen on Tuesday. I quickly checked the temperature on the road right in front of me.
And he went into shock.
The temperature gauge registered 68 degrees.
Fuck me.
That is very hot.
Also, if it had just been one more, though.
Oh, no. He could have lied to say it was 69.
Then it would have been like a really sexy steak.
It would have been a really nice temperature.
He'd eat that steak and just be like, this tastes nice.
Nice. He said, I reckon you could not only cook eggs out there, but sausages and steak as well. You can literally pick the bitumen up off the road with a pencil. It is melting.
Yep, that's what I like to cook. It's kind of like deep frying, except instead of fat, it's tar.
Yeah.
Yum.
Now, there's a really,
Yummy.
a really good, relatable sentence here. It says, Mr. Karras said cold water taps do not exist in Boulia during summer. I think I should try putting a tea bag in some tap water and leave it outside for a while. I will have a nice hot cup of tea. True.
I like this guy.
It's very true.
If he was really game, though, he'd try to cook chicken on the road and see if he gets salmonella poisoning or not.
Now, this is the best quote, though, because this is from a guy called Paul Finlay, who runs the Drovers Camp Museum. Said he never drives far at this time of year because the bitumen gets so hot it could blow car tyres. He said, it's pretty bloody hot up here at the moment. And that's his quote that they used.
Fuck, I hate this country. We sound like such dipshits sometimes.
We really do.
Oh my god.
Essentially, this whole story is just, it's hot. Here are some things to show that it's hot. And basically, it's my favourite thing about the summer news cycle is that there are a lot of stories that essentially boil down to, it's hot.
It's hot. I saw a New Zealand story a few weeks ago that was like, temps top 30 degrees as New Zealand swelters.
Oh, no!
And I was like, 30, that sounds so hard.
My favourite ones are like from UK heat waves. It's like 21 degrees. Although, to be fair, it's like when I'm saying it's bloody freezing, it's probably like 15 degrees, 15 to 20, and I'm like, oh, it's freezing, I'd better put on a jumper.
I found another story that was from New Zealand that was similar to this, that it was, and this had a fun pun headline as well, which was, Australia is cooked, raw steak cooked in hot car during heat wave.
I love it.
It's so good.
It's true. Well, you could do that.
You probably could. That'd be like sous videing it, or whatever the word is. Like it's
yeah, very master chef.
Boiling it.
Have you ever tried like a sous vide egg, by the way?
No. Isn't that just like
It is very good.
Interesting.
It's like a fancy poached egg because you put it in a bag and you cook it in the bag.
Yeah.
And it's different to boiling.
Yes, because the water doesn't get in.
Because a boiled egg is inside the shell.
But this is outside the shell?
And a poached egg is just cracked into the water. A sous vide egg is cracked into some weird plastic bag and then put in the boiling water. They're all different experiences.
Okay, I'll give it a try one day.
It was at a fancy restaurant I went to. I'm not a fancy gal, but if someone else is paying for the fancy food, I might consider it.
Do we want to wrap up?
Yeah, I'm quite warm and would like to not be so warm.
Same.
So, yeah.
Thank you for listening to our show. I'm very out of it today. Follow us on Twitter or Instagram at Red Menace Cast. We also have a Facebook page. It's just the Red Menace Podcast. Get your friends to listen to the show.
Yeah, please do.
Don't be afraid to send in stories. I've been sent a couple odd stories the last week or two. That's always fun and nice.
Yeah, it's nice to not have to do work.
Yeah, I'm very into not doing stuff. So please,
for sure,
more of that. I have a final pun this week. There was
that's a change.
I know. I actually have a few banked up for the next few weeks. I'm so excited.
Oh, you're planned. I like it.
This is comfortably the worst one.
Okay, I'm excited. I'm ready.
So this is from Canberra Times by Ron Carabona. So this is going to be like a yes, yes, no episode of Reply All, where I'm going to sort of have to break this down into its component parts.
Yeah.
So, hot dub wine machine to bring a varied wine up to Lake George Winery. So, Hot Dub Wine Machine is a music festival.
Okay.
And it's going to bring a varied wine up to Lake George Winery. Yeah.
Why is the music festival called Hot Dub Wine Machine?
It's a really good question.
Is it like a pun of Hot Tub Time Machine, a movie that I don't think is that relevant anymore?
That's 100% what it is. The presets are playing. They've got... Which I feel is not deserved for this, based on the title.
A music festival based on...
A movie... An okay comedy from 10 years ago.
I don't think it's the kind of movie that stands the test of time to name a music festival after.
No, I wouldn't...
That people will know what it is 10 years later.
I wouldn't name my music festival The Hangover 2. It's just... You
name your music festival Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. That would stand the test of time.
What if you named your music festival Grown Ups 3? And you were like, it's the next one. Have fun.
National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets, the music festival. I feel like the person who would be headlining that would probably be Nicolas Cage himself.
What if Nicolas Cage...
playing the ukulele.
What if Nicolas Cage just had nothing to do with it? What if the National Treasure 2 music festival... Book of Secrets.
National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets music festival.
What if the National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets music festival, Adam Sandler was the headliner, and at the Grown Ups 3 one, Nicolas Cage was the headliner.
And they work together on the music festivals. They kind of
do a nice collabo.
Yeah, they planned them.
Adam in the cage. It's
Adam. I hope Adam would be in a cage. Maybe he'd stop making movies. Oh, this has been a long ending gag sequence.
It has.
So
thanks. Thank you for listening. Good luck and good night.
Yeah, thank you.